Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to a very special episode of This is a Revolution. My name is George, and I'm here with a face you know, a man that you will be familiar with if you are a fan of RevPro or even wider European wrestling. It's the man that calls the Goldenboy Santos. How are you, my friend?
What's up, George? Thank you for having me. A bit sad that Dave isn't here, but I guess he has some priorities.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
look,
joking.
when I say that we've got the Golden Boy coming on, and Dave says, "Nah, I'm busy," like that's just showing what a big shot Dave thinks he is now.
I think it's the connections with David Francisco coming and bite me in the ass.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, Dave and I were probably the only two people in that Southampton venue who were probably cheering against David Francisco. But unlike Dave the Mark, I don't hold that against you, Santos. So it's good to have you here, my friend, and I appreciate you making the time for me this evening. Because as we were saying
I
before we got
appreciate the
on here,
invitation, man.
it's been a long time
Thank you.
since we've got to chat, isn't it? And I find that these days, most of the time, I end up chatting with you on Twitter. It's mainly about me telling you what players that I would like Man United to sign from Sporting. So that's usually what the conversations go around. But yeah, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, like despite you trying to ruin even more my team that you already did, uh, always fun to talk with you guys. And yeah, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, 2025. What a start to the year it has been for you, my friend. Like, I was having a quick look and just refreshing myself because my memory is not the greatest for what's going on a lot of the time in wrestling. And I wish I had Dave's memory for just everything. But when I was refreshing and taking the time and I was looking at kind of the breakout year that you had in 2024 and now what 2025 is looking for you, how's it been so far?
It's been a crazy ride, to be honest. Like, I, as I mentioned before, like 2 years ago, I wasn't even supposed to be wrestling still. Um, I was done, honestly. I felt like after COVID, my motivation took a big hit and some doors partially closed. So I was really thinking like, is this even worth it? Because I have a very specific goal in mind that it's living only from pro wrestling, and things were not looking great, and life still gets on, and I still have some priorities like providing, like build a life outside of wrestling, like
Mm-hmm.
buying a house, all the regular adult life things. And as a indie wrestler, we need to invest a lot of ourselves in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. So I was at a point that I was almost broke, and I needed to prioritize stuff over wrestling. But all of a sudden, it kind of happened to me. I was lucky enough to have the OTT management, especially Joe Cabray, to
Mm-hmm.
take a chance on me early on. That kind of broke me into the Irish scene. Then I was lucky enough to get a spot in the RevPro show in Barcelona,
Mm.
and everything just snowballed from there. It
Yeah.
was like I would like to say like this happened because X or Y, but I think it was just like right time, right place, and I was of course prepared for it. But it was luck has part of the responsibility here.
Yeah, I think I've heard a quote that said, "Luck is what happened when preparedness beats opportunity," and I really like that quote because, like you said, you've got to be ready for that opportunity when it comes around. And as we're recording, I looked earlier because it feels like it was so much longer ago, but we're actually only coming up to the year anniversary of that match. Which then, when you look at what has been achieved in all of that time, and I think when I looked at your cage match earlier, and granted, I know cage match doesn't capture everything, but the all of like the shows that you've done this year so far, I think I saw out of 8 matches there was like 5 different countries there, which just shows that obviously now that, like you said, you've taken that chance, got those opportunities, and you're just opening doors everywhere now, which it is amazing because I didn't know that you were coming close to calling it quits. So yeah, when that show happened in in Barcelona. Kind of, how did it then change from that one show to you joining RevPro?
To be honest, I think once again it was right time, right place because I was never in contact with RevPro or anything before. I've tried, but
Yeah.
I never got that contact before that. And I think I did well for myself in that match, and it happened that Andy was looking for someone to help David tell his story,
Hmm.
and we happened to be from the same country, and that kind of helped making it happen for me,
Yeah.
and I'm very grateful for it. I did my best to my abilities, and overall, I'm happy with what we achieved. I'm happy that the story that David was able to tell and is still telling, and I'm glad I had to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that match. It was you. I would say I remember it was you versus Oscar Leuber, if I remember correctly, in Barcelona, and yeah, just such a hard hitting match that made you take notice of what you are and who you are and what you're about. Because for a lot of us who were watching that show, we probably weren't as familiar with the European scene. And when we think of the European scene, a lot of us will probably think more towards Germany because that's where we hear and read a lot of stuff from. So from the Portuguese, the French, and the Spanish scenes, maybe not so much. So it was a really eye-opening kind of show because obviously there was yourselves, Zazaya, Barcelona Blacklist, who were all able to kind of come from that and join the roster in various ways since then. And I really loved the pairing of you and David because even though it was such a short run, I feel like it was a very memorable run. So, and it was one of my favorite matches last year, actually. And we can kind of get into a bit more is you guys versus Youngblood in Stevenage. When it was Oscar and Shah, and then Yuta came back and had that crazy brawl, and all of these things that kind of helped, like really add a lot of grit to the shows. But you mentioned David there. How was that working alongside him? Because he's had quite a year himself as well.
He's doing very well for himself, and he should be proud. Me and David, like, we knew each other from Portugal, but we were never
Mm-hmm.
like close friends or anything. We were familiar with each other's jobs. But it was very, very cool to work besides him. We
Mm-hmm.
have very distinct ways of either wrestling and thinking about wrestling, which, in my opinion, made it better because it made us like stop and look to the other guy's perspective.
Yeah,
And of course, like if you close yourself inside a bubble, you'll never get past certain level. And I think, at least in my point of view, he helped me a lot with that. Helped me saw like different ways of working and different things to think
mm,
about matches and stories in general. And he's great, especially on telling his story and the work he does with his podcasts and not a podcast but videos and
yeah,
promos that he puts up online. He's very good on it, and he's collecting the dividends of his investment, and I'm very happy for him.
absolutely. He is. Yeah, because to think it was also April last year that the Revolution Rumble took place, and that was really the coming out party for the current version of David Francisco. Because at the time he was transitioning from contender to the centerpiece. So, and the way I kind of view you guys is it was very similar to the Shawn Michaels and Diesel kind of relationship. The smaller guy who will get a bit cocky and do a lot of the talking, and then the bigger guy who gets to show off the power, show off the strength, and gets to dominate at matches as well. And that always creates a great dynamic, I think. And I think everyone at some point, while we appreciate what you guys did, probably wanted to get to that moment where Santos maybe had heard enough from David and maybe just puts him down a little bit. But yeah, I think a lot of the fans, unless you were in Southampton, would have been on board with that.
I think we're still on time for that. We never know what the future holds. Um, but yeah, I think that was the dynamic that we wanted to. It's not the
Yeah.
dynamic that I'm most familiar with because I'm not usually a heel.
Yeah.
or that kind of heel. I'm usually more of a baby face, and I think like to my abilities, that's where I succeed most or
Mm.
have because if you look at that Ref Pro match against Oscar with me working from underneath, I I see my value more on that role, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that was a challenge, and he helped me. That helped me grow a lot as a performer because it made me uncomfortable and it made me do stuff that I don't usually do. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, and I always say when you put yourself out your comfort zone, that's where you can grow, right? Like, and having that opportunity. One of the things I wanted to touch on there actually was you just said about your normal style would be working from underneath that more babyface style, and I find that really interesting because you're a big guy, you're a very handsome guy, and those sorts of things are not something which normally go hand in hand with a traditional babyface. Why do you think it is that fans gravitate to you? What is it that you think you bring that makes people say, "I really want to get invested in this man"?
I think the fans, either they are conscient about it or not, they gravitate into genuine things.
Hmm.
And I feel like when I'm working as a babyface, um, I'm the most genuine to myself, the closer version to myself. Of course, like amplified by 1,000,
Hmm.
but that's how I feel more natural about it. That's like I don't almost need to think about what I'm doing because everything comes naturally. And I
Yeah,
think people either they understand wrestling to different levels, but they all can understand when someone is bullshitting them or being actual, like real. And I think
yeah,
what comes off when I'm a baby face is that like everything you see when I come off the curtain, it's me. Like that's how I am in real life every time, 100 time more amplified,
hmm,
but it's still me.
yeah. I love that, and you're right. People can tell. People want to believe that what they're watching is like something that's unfolding in front of them, and they know it's not real, and they're happy to accept something not being real. But yeah, you are right that people want something genuine as well, and they want to connect with people. And wrestling is perhaps the form of art that requires that the most, right? Like you guys can do your job, but your job isn't done at its best if the crowd isn't also working in tandem with what you guys are after. And I mean, look, I would just say peel back the curtain a little bit. I remember when this was in December time, we did our end of year awards, and in one of the best newcomer categories, you received loads of the nominations, and I remember just having a conversation with you about that, and I was blown away. Like I obviously have spoken to you before, but just the how much that kind of hit you, and how again the genuineness, like you said, really does kind of come through and shine through, and I think that for me is what comes out. So yeah, when you're out there looking big and strong, I can believe it when you're being a heel because I remember sitting there in Stevenage and the ramp was here and I was sat just down here and I'm sitting there looking up at you and go, this guy seems to be getting bigger every time I see him. Like, and so I can believe into all of that. But yeah, man, the genuine side of you I think does come out, and but it's so cool that you got to do something different and outside your comfort zone. And in RevPro, you've got to do a bit by yourself. You've got to do um, working with David as a team. You got to do trios with David and Damiao as well. Um, yeah, that must have been incredible. Like to represent the Portuguese scene with three different men, and getting all the way to the semi-finals. Actually, how did you find that?
It was a little bit mind-blowing because, to be honest, like we're kind of the first guys to break in from the Portuguese scene. Of
Yeah,
course, we had Killer Kelly paving the way for us. The first ever Portuguese superstar in
yeah,
being hired by WWE. Of course, that was a big motivator for us. But it makes it extra special, especially having like Damian with us at the trios. Damian is one of my best friends, like in real life outside of wrestling. So
Yeah,
it was a feel good moment because he's so young and he's having these chances so early.
yeah,
Like it's good to think because at the time that I started, it was impossible to get opportunities like this, and we're kind of working through um, making people notice that we have some talent and
yeah.
taking a chance on us. So that was very cool. And of course, having the chance to wrestle by myself was also great. I have like every single match that I had in RevPro was at least I watched it back and I like them. Of course,
Hmm.
I saw many flaws as we should because otherwise we will not evolve.
Yeah.
But ever since my first two matches with Oscar and RKJ, I love
Mm.
them. I worked as a babyface. I think that's where my best performances was.
Yeah.
I wrestled Sha Samuels in the singles. Always a pleasure to wrestle Sha, either singles, tags, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. He's a he's so insightful and one of the best to ever do it in the UK independent scene. I
Hmm.
wrestled TK Cooper in Southampton, and which was probably my favorite match of the whole run.
Yeah.
And of course, I got to wrestle the heavyweight champion and
Yes, you
in the
did.
229, Luke Jacobs,
Yeah.
and I went toe to toe with him. So there's so many good moments, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm really hoping that's not the hand for me in RevPro because I still have a lot of stuff that I want to show the guys.
Absolutely. And I think as well, like you touch on a lot of great stuff there. And we need to remember, like we said, it's only just come up to the 1 year that you had your first match in Rev Pro. And then I think after that, it was May that you were back. So yeah, it's been about a year. And there's all that, like I said, you've worked babyface, we've done teams, we've done trios, you've gone up against the champion in what was a great match. Like, I think it was impossible for you to have a bad match. And like you said, you know that there's opportunities there for you to learn. And I really remember that match with Shah, and just because obviously that was leading up to the match with David, the Southampton respect match, which Shah and David did great on that. But you actually did a great job as well in helping set up the story there as well and building into that. And I thought that was really great. I mean, like you said, Shah is he's so good, and there's a reason why he's so respected by everyone, and he takes on doing classes because I think it would be impossible to get in the ring and not learn from him, right?
Yeah, it was great, and I was fortunate enough to wrestle him. I think like 5 times on
Wow.
that run, around
Yeah.
5 or 6 times. So it was great every time, and I'm really like grateful to be able to help the story and put myself on the back foot a little bit, so the story can be told to the best, to the fullest.
Mm, absolutely. Um, when we're talking about the trios Grand Prix as well, how did it feel to be getting in the ring with someone like Leo Rush? Because you've mentioned as well that obviously there's not many people have kind of gone through that route to get into somewhere like a WWE. So it's something that is kind of coming through now for people. So to be standing there opposite someone like him and just seeing him there in the flesh, how cool was that for you?
It's always cool. I've been fortunate enough to be on shows and work with people that are in under contract with companies.
Mm,
So it's always cool and it's always good to be able to learn from them. It was actually a great experience. It was class. Everyone
yeah.
in that match was class.
Yeah, yeah. Those guys. They're all so good. And look, when we talk about how young people are, that's just all of British wrestling for me because I'm an old man now. So like, but see you guys all kind of coming up and coming through and getting your moments has been so cool. But when it came to you getting in the business, then because you obviously said things were a little bit different. How did you get your start in the business? So where was it you kind of trained and broke into?
So basically, I was an athlete my whole life. I've played basketball since I was like
Wow.
12. Yeah. So when I went to college, my first year was really hard, trying to manage playing ball and studying. So
Mhm.
I had to make a choice. And as basketball doesn't pay that much or that well here in Portugal, I kind of gave it up
Mhm.
so I can continue studying
Yeah.
and actually do better on that. But I still needed something like a physical activity to do, a hobby that will fill that gap because I was so used to having sports in my life
Mhm.
that my routine was very affected by the lack of that activity. And I tried different stuff, and I don't remember what I saw, but it was something on social media that was announcing, I think, a seminar with a famous independent wrestler that is not
Mhm.
around anymore, and that kind of sparked my curiosity. So I went to one of those trainings in Lisbon, and I got my first contact with pro wrestling, and I loved it actually. That was a hobby for me. I was picking it up fast, but
Yeah.
everything changed when I got a Pete Dunne seminar and his speech, the way he approached wrestling, the way
Yeah.
he felt wrestling. Because, as I told you in the beginning of the conversation, when someone is real, you can feel it, and I
Yeah.
felt every bit, every word he said, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this wrestling thing a shot, a real shot. And I
Nice.
remember that so vivid because it was actually the day after I signed up to a gym the first time because I told myself if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this 100%, and I'm gonna give it my all because I'm not gonna break my body uh, to something that I don't want 100%.
Mhm. Yeah, I can get that. So you aren't like the traditional sort of person that grew up watching pro wrestling. That was literally your first route into it, was it? That was what you picked up first.
Um, I started watching at like '05, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the first memories I have was the Batista versus Triple H storyline leading up to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the spectacle, with the physical abilities of the
Mhm.
wrestlers. And unfortunately, wrestling went to cable, and I'm not from a rich family, so we didn't have cable. So
Yeah.
I kind of lost the way of
Yeah.
wrestling in my life,
Yeah.
and I only picked it up when I turned 20 or 21.
Yeah, that kind of that happened to me when I was a kid. My family just didn't have cable anymore, so I went a long time without, and then it was 1999. That's when I started getting back into it, and Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. But I remember that Batista Triple H storyline, like you said as well. There's so many good memories from that period of time, and but I love that obviously you've then got into this. You've gone to a seminar. You've said, "Hey, it's all or nothing for me here." So, obviously, you've had those seminars. So, where was it you then went to train from there?
So I continued training in Portugal.
Yeah.
Um, and I got an invite from Rafa and Killer Kelly at the time. They were living in Germany and they were
Okay.
training at the WXW Academy with Walter, with Tim Thatcher at
Nice.
the time.
Yeah.
And they invited me for a seminar of 3 or 4 days. And I went, I think it was February or January of 2018, around
Hmm.
that time, and I went there and I loved it. I loved the training. I loved the professionalism that they
Hmm.
showed. The environment was great, and I thought to myself, like, 1 year from now, I'm gonna move here and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna live in Germany. I'm gonna train here full time, and I'm gonna make it. So the full year from 2018 to 19, it was me going through jobs just to save some money. And eventually, as I said, 1 year later, I was packing my bags and I was going to Germany.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I have to say as well, Killer Kelly, she is so great, and she's someone I'd never got to see when she came over here for RevPro. But seeing the success that she's had, and really is one of those people that's flying the flag for European wrestling that doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to just the level of talent out there. And yeah, you've got Walter as well. I mean,
I think
looking
she's
at
great. I think
oh,
she's great, and
mm,
yeah,
sorry, yeah, she's fantastic, fantastic, and yeah, I know that anytime a show is on TV and she's on there, I will always at least check out her matches because she has got such a wide range of what she can do, but how she can portray herself as well. I think she's great, and yeah, Walter as well. What a man he is! Like I can only imagine what that must have been like, just spending some time and learning from him because I've only got to see him live once, but left such an impression on me.
he is the best wrestler in the world without a doubt.
Mm,
And we have been seeing him being the best wrestler in the world for years in the independents.
yeah.
So I was not really surprised when they strapped the belt on him because it is just class. He
Yeah.
honors the
Mm,
professional wrestling. He honors every generation of wrestling because he
hmm.
portrays a little bit of the old wrestling and a little bit of the new wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's great to watch and it was great to learn from.
Yeah, I can imagine it was. And I've only ever got to see him live once. That was against Tyler Bate, and that was just such an incredible moment, a match to be there for. Like, got the crowd into it, and what he's gone on to achieve. It's really quite striking to me how many now TV wrestlers have wrestled in that small Southampton venue that you've been in for RevPro. So Will Ospreay, Carl Fletcher, Walter, Tony Storm, hopefully at some point Goldenboy Santos, and we can say, "Oh, I remember seeing him in this venue." Like that would be so good. But obviously, yeah, your Rev Pro run has been for me. Your Rev Pro run has been great. One of the matches that I think was really underrated, actually, or probably people didn't when they think of your matches probably didn't discuss as much, was you versus Josh James. And I think that was in Sheffield, and that is a match and a place I found that that is a style of wrestling they really love there. Like two big guys who will just beat each other. And yeah, that was one that just really stood out to me.
I loved it because Josh James is was so easy to work with. We just planned a simple match. We just gonna hit each other real hard and sell for each other.
Yeah,
And eventually it led to the progressing of his story with David.
yeah,
Uh, David causing me to lose a little bit,
mm-hmm.
and Josh showing that he is improving and he is more like mature as a wrestler to
Yeah,
avoid the distractions and getting the win.
yeah,
So it was good. In the beginning, I was a little bit not scared, but kind of because people were saying that Sheffield crowd is usually more quiet. So I was kind of like testing the waters a little bit, but
yeah.
I think we got very good reactions. I'm very happy with that match. I think it was a very solid match.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of this phrase or not before, but there's a phrase that's used, piss and vinegar, when it's just people just beating the crap out of each other. And we always, Dave and I always say that Sheffield is like the place for piss and vinegar. Like they like those fights. And one of the things that I've noticed about wrestling, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, is there was a time when that style of wrestling went really out of fashion, and it was now coming around to technical, really nimble guys who could do all these flips that had never really been seen before, sort of in the early to mid 2000s. And now I think there's a real appreciation coming around now for the guys who can have those strong matches, because I think for a long time people thought guys who are 6'4" and tall, they're not very fast, they don't move very well, they just hit and hit and hit. But I think guys like yourself, you're kind of proving that there's actually more that could be done with that big, stronger style, and especially with the different areas of the world now. You've got Japanese wrestling is available so easily, Mexico, Europe. Is there any influences you take from around those places in what you do now?
Of course, I love Japanese wrestling. It's one of my favorite wrestling to watch. I love Ishii. I love Shingo. I love I don't know. I loved Walter is one
Yeah,
of the guys that I study the most. His Hindi run
yeah,
was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And the great thing about wrestling now is that you don't need to fit in one box only. You
Yeah.
can be a little bit of a hybrid wrestler
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I don't consider myself like um a super heavyweight like Walter. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit more hybrid in a way. Uh, I'm not as fast as Shingo, but I kind of like that mix of like the strong hitting with the acceleration from time to
Yeah.
time. I think it's a good mix. It's at least it's the something that I enjoy watching, and I
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
emulate a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well because there used to be a time when everyone had one style and that's who was all put against each other. And one of the things that I'm loving in wrestling is that everyone has a bit of everything. So Will Ospreay is probably one of those most famous examples of a guy who was very much in one lane and then evolved over time, right? And he's striking, he's high flying, he's got all of this technical. Shingo is another one. He's just incredible. Like I remember the first time I ever saw him and immediately fell in love with the guy. And Japanese wrestling is one that I can find harder to connect with at times. But that guy, he just gets it. Him and Ishii. Um, I feel like they're the matches then that we need to try and get next for you. Then Golden
Ah,
Boy
those
versus Shingo.
that would be a dream come true.
Oh
Also, Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd is another more closer to the UK version of hybrid wrestler.
yeah,
He moves very well. He strikes very. He's technical. Like he
yeah.
can do everything.
Yeah, he really can. Yeah, I remember seeing Gabe Kidd for the first time, and the first time I ever saw him was in again Southampton, and it was tagging with Brendan White as contenders for RevPro. It's incredible the career that he's gone on to have, and yeah, I think what I'm really loving is seeing how the European scene is now winning everywhere. Right, like you've got guys from the UK going and doing things in Japan and America, guys from Europe going out to all around the world, whether Mike DeVecchio, for instance, out in Japan, you've got Walter out in America, and the champion of the biggest company in the world. Like that's an incredible endorsement for European wrestling, but also now as well, you've got the people in mainland Europe coming out to the UK. You've got people from the UK coming out to mainland Europe as well. So I think the scene is looking great at the moment.
I think so. Like for years, the British scene was booming, and there was a lot of big talents there
Mm-hmm.
that are already all signed. That shows the talent, the level of talent that it was like in, in England. So there was never kind of like spots opening for most of the guys. Only like I think probably Walter and Ludwig Kaiser were the only ones from mainland Europe to kind of work Progress and all the big English promotions. And right now, as the scene had to rebuild with all the people getting signed, guys like Egg LeBlanc, guys like Mike D, guys like Zosaya, guys like myself kind of had an opportunity to show what they could do. And some of us just needed that door opening. We were ready to step in when we got that chance. And that's showing it right now. And not only those guys, but guys like the Barcelona Blacklist that you told already, Iker Navarro, another great talent from Spain. These were people that for years now they were wrestling the big guys from the UK in Spain.
Mm. Yeah,
Blacklist wrestled CPF before. Iker
yeah,
Navarro wrestled Chris Ridgway before. So all we needed was a chance to break in.
yeah.
And I think I'm happy to say that we kicked the door in.
I think you guys did. You absolutely kicked the door in because you've gone from a scenario, like I said earlier, to people know the Rev Pro guys and they don't necessarily know you guys. And for some people, that can be a bit of a barrier because they want to connect. They like being in their comfort zone and watching who they know. That's why they tune into weekly products because they start to know people. So when you're coming into a whole show of people you might not be familiar with, that can be exciting, but it can be daunting as well. And yeah, I think you guys definitely broke it because obviously there was the match between yourself and Oscar. The three that are jumping out to me, there was Michael Oku and Zazaya, which I mean, look at what's happened there. But for me, my favorite match of that night was GYV versus Barcelona Blacklist. I love tag team wrestling. It's probably my favorite kind of wrestling. And yeah, I think, like you said, the opportunity was here you go, go for it. And you guys were so ready for it. And that just shows like how yourself, Zazaya, especially, I would say, out of all of the names at that time, really made such a huge impact in RevPro.
I like to think so. Like, uh, as I told you, um, we wanted this for a long time, and for a long time, all the spots were taken, and deservedly so.
Mm,
Let's keep it straight. Like the talent in the UK, like the UK is the biggest wrestling bubble in Europe for some reason. All the best talents work there, so we just needed a spot to open for a chance for us to show what we can do.
mm. Yeah, and it's interesting because I've been on and off watching the UK scene since about 2005, and there was a time when it wasn't even close to what it is now, and a lot of the shows were relying on getting the guys from America, bringing them in, and making them the focal point, with the UK guys just being there and never actually building anyone up. And I think the scene's kind of going the other way. And one of the things that's really apparent to me is that with more companies out there who have got more TV time or ways of distributing, we're seeing more people being signed and going off elsewhere. And that's really exciting for me because it means that the door is opening and more spots are becoming available. I've said this that in 1 year's time, I don't think that Michael Oku, Luke Jacobs, Zazaya, at least those three, I don't think all of them will be around in RevPro still because I think they will have achieved another higher goal than where they are now. And that's amazing because it means that you've got space for all these guys coming up. But then you're looking at people like Connor Mills, who's out in BZW and all of that stuff. So it's a really exciting time and getting to see some of the scene from around Portugal, France, Spain, all coming into RevPro.
Like it's exciting times. It's always great to see the wrestling, the independent wrestling flow,
Hmm.
because it's, of course, we have it good right now, but for the next star to grow, the biggest star needs to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It needs to be that it needs to rotate, because otherwise you'll have the same shows with the same people for ages.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
if, for example, if British Strong Style didn't get signed, you probably wouldn't see Michael Oku getting those
Yeah.
opportunities,
Yeah.
or Luke Jacobs. Like there's always going to be a rotation in the
Hmm.
indies. So
Yeah.
there's, as soon as a spot gets open, people need to be ready to step up and take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, we're talking a lot here about opportunities. One of the things that we saw was WWE tryouts happening, and for me, like the most exciting thing I saw about that was seeing so many faces just in there. Again, people that we know, um, Luke Jacobs, Zazaya, man like Doris, yourself, Rio. How was that kind of that situation? Like it must feel like really vindicating and like to feel like some like all the work that you're putting in is being noticed.
It was a very feel good moment, because uh all the guys that were there, I was probably the least known one, at least the one with a smaller name value in the independent wrestling. But at the same time, I knew everyone that was there, so it
Yeah.
was kind of being at home, or
Mm,
at least feeling more comfortable,
yeah.
because you've been on shows with all those guys for a long time,
Yeah.
and you have that relationship with everyone, and everyone was so supportive. Uh, it was great, honestly. It was far from my biggest dreams to imagine that could happen to me, but it happened. It was great, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, good. And you know what? That's all we can ask of these sorts of things, isn't it? Is you come away, you feel happy, perfect stuff. And how amazing is that? That the match that you said that as a kid for you was Batista and Triple H, and now all that time later, you're there. Right, that is so cool.
It's a bit overwhelming. To be honest, I don't think I've processed all the stuff that happened this year for me. I'm
Yeah,
still trying. Like, I swear to God, like it's been very hard to kind of look at myself in third person and trying to figure out everything that's happening.
yeah,
Because it doesn't feel real. Like it's nothing more that I can say. It doesn't feel real, but it was, and I'm trying to make that progress in within my mind to realize that that happened, and like sky's the limit.
yeah. Absolutely, it is. I mean, I think it was. I'm now trying to remember. I think it was before we hit record. I was saying to you that it's only been about a year and a half, 2 years that I've been properly as invested in the indies, and now when I'm watching and seeing security holding people back on the show, and there was you there, there was Luke, there was Ethan, Zazai was. I'm like, I know all these guys, and these are all guys I've seen wrestle in that really small club in Southampton, and are now on a show for the biggest company in the world. It's I can only imagine me watching it. I'm like, wow, this is so exciting, but really strange to see in the sense of because we've seen you at those places and we've built those connections with you guys. But it's so exciting to see because I think sometimes one of the things people can get really caught up in is they can get caught up in we love what you guys do, we want to keep you forever. But you're right that there's a couple of things there. You mentioned earlier about having bills to pay and career goals to hit, right? We forget that sometimes because to us it's this is our favorite wrestling, we've got our favorite wrestlers here, but you've got things you want to go and achieve as well. And hey, we want you guys to just all be happy, make lots of money, and be creatively fulfilled and achieve all the goals you have. So, in the nicest possible way, I hope we get you back in RevPro, but I hope it's not for long because I hope it means that there's bigger goals for you to come and achieve as well.
I appreciate that. Like, I understand people sometimes getting divided within wanting their favorite wrestlers to stay at housing distance, let's say it like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, as you said, like this is kind of like growing in a career.
Hmm.
We like the job we do, but we also want the promotion
That's
because
it.
at the end of the day, I want to be able to own my own house. I want to be
Hmm.
able to secure my parents as they go through older ages
Yeah.
and make sure nothing will ever lack in
Hmm.
that process. I would love to be building a family as well, and
Hmm.
those are goals that um, are achievable if we get like a wrestling contract. So
Yeah.
I understand people getting a little bit upset about that, but at the same time, I think they'll forget about it as soon as guys like Leon Cage appear, uh guys like Dean O'Brien stepping up.
Yeah.
So like I totally understand, but I understand as well that they will understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it'll all change when whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, whether it's TNA, whether it's New Japan, when you are there, because we saw the reaction when Zazaya just appeared in Noah, and no one had any idea like this was so cool, and this is what we want to see for you guys, and just going out there and achieving these massive things. And you mentioned earlier about goals. So, what would you say your current goals are, if you're happy to share, of course.
Of course. So my next goal is to really win the European Championship in OTT. I
Nice.
have a match scheduled with Charlie Sterling for the European Championship. He was the one, the inaugural European champion. He beat me in
Hmm.
a gauntlet. He was the
Yeah.
last man. So I wanna give him back that. And basically just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm happy right now. I can work a full-time job and I can wrestle in my favorite companies with
Yeah.
the best guys in Europe. Whatever happens, whatever opportunity comes off, I'll take it gladly. But the main thing is I'm gonna keep myself ready because life have told me once again that you need to be ready for when the opportunity comes. And
Absolutely.
I've been ready, so I'm gonna keep myself ready.
Absolutely. I mean, if 2024 into 2025 is any indication of what can happen when you are feeling, you're coming off the end of that feeling of, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do full time anymore, and having those feelings, and you got that opportunity, and then you've had that taste and you've seen the year you can have off of that. I don't think the world is ready for the next time you get that opportunity and have that door open, because I think however much you opened it that first time round, you are going to kick it down and smash it to get through to that next stage. When we're talking about obviously goals and things you'd like to achieve, do you have any dream opponents that you think this is who I would like to face?
In independent wrestling, or
You know what?
it doesn't matter.
Shall we go with a couple of independents and then just go with a couple of dream of who you're like, nah, that would be great.
So I'd love to mix it up with Michael Oku. We still
Yeah,
didn't get to wrestling. I'd love to wrestle one called Manders, which I think it was a shame we didn't get a chance to do it.
yeah,
I was so hyped up with his European tour, but unfortunately it didn't happen this time.
yeah,
I like to believe that maybe I wasn't ready for it, but the next time you'll come back, I'll be ready for it. And I hope we can get to mix it up as well.
yeah,
Um, More names. I'd love to wrestle Luke again.
yeah.
It's always a pleasure.
Oh, he's
And
so good.
Connor Mills. Connor Mills.
Yeah,
He's one of the guys that I think he can hit as hard as me. So I'd love to
yeah.
test that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really funny because I had a list in my head, and I think you've mentioned all of the guys, and the other one that I had in my mind was Ethan Allen, because I
Ethan
think
Allen, yeah.
yeah, he's again the similar sort of vein as Connor. But you know what I would love to see as well, because you've obviously mentioned wanting to do the babyface style. I'd love to see you in RevPro as a babyface against a heel Michael Oku. I think that would be such an interesting story, given Michael's style where he is less physically dominating, and I think that could be such a cool way to tell the story as well. Oh,
I think so. Like Michael is without a doubt one of the best guys in the Indies right now.
mhm.
He has been for like at least 2 years now.
Yeah,
He's been carrying the European flag all across the world, and he's getting the flowers he deserves.
yeah.
And like I've seen him work either as a face or as a heel, and he's great on both. So
Hmm.
I'd love to make it happen.
Yeah. I think then what we need to do is we just need to get you in the Revolution Rumble, because that seems to be the one way to face all of these guys. Because we know
I
the
guess.
one called Manders is coming back as well. And yeah, you versus one called Manders, I think would be so good. I mean, he's a guy that when he came over, I didn't know much about, and now watching the stuff he's been doing here, out in Germany as well, and now everywhere. Yeah, it feels like that is a match that should happen.
And that would get me the opportunity to work from underneath again.
Yeah,
You know what? One Call Manders reminds me a lot of Walter's indie run.
Yeah.
because he was so different from everything that people are used to watch in
Hmm.
independence right now,
Yeah.
that when he came over, he got like such a huge impact right off the bat.
Hmm.
And he like everything he does is so crisp, so violent, so to the point that
Yeah.
like I'm sure he will take stuff out of me that I don't know I have, if that makes
Have
sense.
no, I get you, and I think you're right there on his style, and I think what goes really well with that is you touched on it earlier, and when I was trying to find the words to describe Fernandez, I think you described it really well, but it's people want someone who's genuine. And I think he is a guy that when you see him at the merch stands and you talk to him, he's got that genuine side to him that comes out and allows itself to come out. So when he then needs to get that bit more violent, it feels that bit more intense as well. So yeah, I mean, I think you guys, you're both two of the most genuine men I've ever met in independent wrestling. So I think having both of you guys just get violent with each other sounds like a good plan to me, my friend. Sounds like a very good plan to me. Um, so yeah, obviously we've spoken about those ones. What about further afield? WWE, AEW, New Japan. Anything there that, or anyone there, should I say, that people might go, that'd be an interesting fight.
Of course, Walter would be my number one pick.
Yeah,
First, because he's the world heavyweight champion,
of course.
and I think we can tell a cool story. And
Yeah.
once again, I could work from underneath, and I think it will be a great story to tell. Also from WWE, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, I appreciate his work so much, so I think it will
Yeah.
be a good one. From AEW, of course, Will Ospreay, one of the best in the world. He's great at everything he does, like
Mm.
legit everything. Um, who else? I love Mark Davis, you know. I think it
Oh,
would be a good
nice.
mix
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And from New Japan, of course, Ichi, Shingo, as I
Yeah.
mentioned, and Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Zack Sabre Jr., he is, yeah, this, again, the last couple of years has really just gone up so many levels in wrestling. And obviously, winning the IWGP title in a way that feels like it goes against everything that normally happens in wrestling. Like just to do it all his own way has been wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to watching the match between him and one called Manders over WrestleMania weekend as well. So, um, and look, WrestleMania weekends, we're coming up to one now, but hopefully next year in some way, shape, or form, Golden Boy is out there for a WrestleMania weekend. That would be so much fun.
Hopefully, that will be a dream come true. But I might say the visa prices are high as hell.
Yeah,
To have a visa to work in the US, it's very expensive.
I
And
can
I don't know if
imagine.
I told you already, but I'm Portuguese and we are very poor. So I still need to save a little bit,
Yeah.
but that would be great.
Yeah, well, you just need to release a few more t-shirts, have your baby face run, get everyone to love you, and then pay towards your visa that way and get you out into America. Oh, that would be the
That's the
dream,
plan.
wouldn't it?
That's the
Absolutely.
plan.
Well, I think what we all need to do is we all need to get onto Twitter and we all just need to send Andy Quilden and RevPro messages saying we want Golden Boy and just get your return booked in.
I think so. And if you want to add um, David's crew Santos to the message, maybe we have the next story lined up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, anything that for me, like I said to you before, there's everyone in Southampton. They all cherish David Francisco, and while I may like the man, I will never let him get his own way in Southampton. I'll be there booing him. So if it means that Santos can help get David Francisco some comeuppance and bring Damiao over as well, like have all of you guys over, that would be wonderful. Yeah, amazing.
That would be
Golden Boy,
great.
I really, really appreciate your time this evening. It's been so much fun to have a chat with you. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can people find you on social media? All of that stuff.
Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me. I really appreciate that. It was great, like revisiting the memories from last year and looking a little bit to the future. Always a pleasure talking to you.
And you, my friend.
For plugs, just follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SantosPro96. Make sure you DM Andy Quilden and be very annoying to him. Uh, and but because yeah, I want to come back and I want to do my best work because I feel that we only scratch the surface.
And you know what I would say? If that is only scratching the surface, and your man is obviously very diligent in how he looks back and learns and wants to learn and grow, and we've seen everything that you've gone through since being in RevPro. If that was only scratching the surface, then I am looking forward to your return. So, Andy Quilden, you need to make this happen. Everyone get in Andy Quilden's DMs, and when he starts getting annoyed, don't say that it was me. Golden Boy, thank you for your time. And also, do not tell Golden Boy all of the players that you want to steal from Sporting Lisbon. On that note,
Please don't.
Right, on that note, we are out of here. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.